Hi, it's Boc again. In this video I would like to show you what I've done on this console since last video, the part 2 that I published on YouTube last December. A lot happened, so let's open the case and show you what I've done.
So this board has been working so far really well, but I noticed that one little problem is that after I replaced this voltage regulators, the system doesn't turn off after a while like it was doing before, but it still gets really warm. This heatsink gets really warm, I guess a lot more than it should. So once I've been playing with games for almost 3 hours, and after that the system was too warm for me, and after I turn it off in the switch, it would not turn on again. So I think I even seen a little smoke coming out of the around here. I don't know yet. I don't know exactly, but what I did, I started to check all those ICs to see if I could find any caps or ICs shorting. First thing I did was to replace a few caps. I replaced this one that I already had, and replaced one that's underneath this heatsink, and I think I will replace those big ones that I think are connected to the power line. But also I noticed that this diode that I'll show you closer, the D3, is getting too warm and really fast, and I guess it's shorting. So I got myself those diodes, and I think I will try to replace one and see if there is an improvement on the system, and see if they still get warm, and see if the system overall gets cooler as it should. So yeah, let's see. And I tested the diode and still gets hot, so it made no difference replacing it. But what I've noticed is the D1, which is beside the D3 that I changed it, that I replaced it, it doesn't get warm at all. So I guess maybe this is defective. But I've tested with a multimeter, and it doesn't show that it's broken, so it seems fine. So looking at the diagram, I also checked that between those two diodes and the voltage regulators down here, we have this cap. So maybe this is the problem. So I'll replace this cap, which is 220 microfarad and 16 volts. Yeah, so I'll replace this one with a new one here, and also, if it doesn't work, I'll try to replace this diode. That seems fine, but who knows? So let's try it. So I replaced this capacitor, but it didn't help to fix this. That was still getting really warm, the one that I replaced it. So I had to replace the other one also, and that fixed it. Now they both get just a little warm, and they kind of divide the current. So I maybe one was failing and was overloading the other one, so I guess that was it. So now this part at least is working. After replacing this capacitor and fixing the diode issue that was warming up too much, it was getting really hot, I also scratched all this part of the board here. It was really bad. I removed all the oxidized parts, and after scratching I used this. It's a UV mask that kind of similar to the one that Jan Bita used on one of his videos that he repaired a board. I think it was a memory expansion from Amiga 500, and I used it here to paint again all the exposed copper parts. But as I don't have a UV light, I used the sunlight of my window to cure it, because it really doesn't get dry, it doesn't cure unless you use UV light. I tried to cure it with other means, and it doesn't dry, so I needed to expose it for sunlight for a while, and it does cure really fast on the sun. So I also would like to mention that I've replaced those two other caps because they are related with the main power line, which was also this capacitor case. I replaced them because I think the regulators are still getting warmer than they should. I don't know why exactly. Maybe they are fake 7SO5s. Maybe later I'll try to replace them. I also replaced this capacitor, which is also related with the mains circuit, the power line, the main power line. And also I'd like to mention that I had to do this, solder those wires to the RGB lines, because as I said previously on the first video, when I resoldered this 8-pin DIN, I damaged a few pads. So when I first started using it, the RGB colors were fine, but as the connector that I'm using to output RGB is really heavy, it started to break those pads underneath this 8-bit DIN. So I had to reconnect the lines. This is the part I was talking about. This is a pretty heavy connector, so when I put it back of the case, it bends the 8-pin DIN here and starts to make it fail. So that's why I had to solder those wires. This is RGB to component converter. This is a case that I have made myself because it has no case, it's just a board. Let me show you. It's a little board. It's a Brazilian guy who makes it. It's not the best, but it does the job. So I can connect the MegaDrive straight to a LCD that accepts 240p. So yeah.
After using the console a little bit more and also using this board and the same PSU with other boards, I realized that the overheat that I was complaining on the board I was fixing, this board could be causing it, because it uses the 5 volts from the console to power on. And I noticed that other consoles were also overheating, or maybe getting warmer than they should. So I guess this is causing the issue. And also what makes me suspect of this board is that the new revision from the same guy who makes these boards is not powered anymore by the 5 volts directly from the console, because he said that was introducing some noise on the video, so he changed the project, and now the newer boards have a external input power supply, so it doesn't use the 5 volts anymore that comes from the console. In the next video I may change this board and use an external power supply too, because as you can see here it already have the input, so I may solder a few wires here and use an external power supply like a USB 5 volts, so I can power on without using the 5 volts from the console. So I have to also change this connector, remove the parts that uses the 5 volts from the console, disconnected this 5 volts so I can use the external power supply to power on this board, and see if that helps with the overheating regulators. So I guess that's it for this video. On the next video it's gonna be the last part of the MegaDrive Resurrection series, and then after that I'll try to make new videos on other consoles that I have that also need some care, like this big boy here, the Sega Saturn. So, thanks for watching. If you like it, please thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down, and subscribe to the channel for the next videos. See you next time. Bye bye.